The weather forecast with Akendogas.
Good evening and welcome to join me once more on the weather forecast, and happy to inform you, if you did not know, that today is World Meteorological Day 2020. Between tonight and tomorrow morning, we would experience light to moderate rainfall in most parts of the nation, like the southwest, the west, south and the littoral regions. Now we expect minimum temperature in the northwest at 16 degrees, 17 in the west and the center expecting as low as 21 degrees, with the rest of the regions expecting a minimum temperature range between 23 to 28 degrees. Onto the south, tonight will be showers throughout the region, and by morning, heavy rainfall is expected in the town of Sangmalima. Next, we go over to the Adamawa region, where tonight would be really cold with heavy rainfall in the entire region, and by morning, it would shower in the entire Adamawa region. Lastly, we take you over to the littoral, where tonight will be showers throughout the region, and by morning will be the same experience in the littoral region. Now, to protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, you should avoid greeting by handshakes and keep a 1 meter distance with everyone, and call the numbers 1510 in case of any symptoms. Thank you for watching, and good night.
Joins Cameroonians to congregate with the government in barring the way to the coronavirus pandemic as the number of cases in the country climb up to 56. The Cameroon government negotiates special flights to ferry Cameroonians stranded abroad back home, a measure that concerns primarily those who were out on mission when flights into the country were being prohibited. As the coronavirus attains apocalyptic proportions and as government measures are only being timidly implemented, the talk of the day raises the question if there isn't need for tougher measures to be adopted to stem the spread of the virus. Those are our lead stories. Hello, welcome to the 7:30 News. I am Ben Meno Pufong. As the number of confirmed coronavirus cases in Cameroon surged to 56, Public Health Minister has invited Cameroonians to join in the fight against the pandemic, describing it a national effort that requires the mobilization of all energies. Manauda Malachi is further inviting Cameroonians to actively contribute in the awareness-raising campaign around the disease, as well as precautionary measures that are aimed at combating the spread of the virus. Alice Mbe has been reading through the minister's press release and is here with a summation.
In a tweet this morning from the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi, between the 6th and the 23rd of March 2020, Cameroon records 56 confirmed cases of the COVID-19 disease with no death registered, while others are still under observation. In a press release signed by the Public Health Boss, all health personnel in the process of integration have been urged to present themselves immediately to any regional delegation of public health in the view of being part of the health personnel attending to COVID-19 disease patients. He also recalls that the fight against the spread of the pandemic has become a national problem and requires the mobilization of all to save lives. The population is called upon to strictly observe hygiene measures, while the toll-free number 1510 is available in case of any emergency. So far, Africa has recorded above 1,000 confirmed cases of the COVID-19 disease and 37 deaths.
And the COVID-19 Emergency Operations Center in Yaoundé is busy around the clock collecting information on the evolution of the situation in the country and recording new cases. The unit, which also serves as a call center, is working in liaison with national and international organizations engaged in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Ewane Pole reports on how the center runs on a daily basis.
This is the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, situated at the Mesa 2 neighborhood in Yaoundé. Thanks to fruitful cooperation ties between the United States and Cameroon, the center was created for a specific mission.
in charge of surveillance, those who are in charge of problem of taking care of patients can come, can coordinate.
Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, health officials working here have been burning the midnight candle to collect information on the coronavirus situation in the country, as well as looking for partners to sponsor the fight against the pandemic.
Our work is organized around the three assignments we talked about: communicating with the partners, with the national focal point of the international health regulation, and then giving a legal support if needed.
It's worth noting that the service is also used as a call center.
We receive call to alert our surveillance system about eventually the suspect cases, and then we can deploy the operational team to the field. They go to the field, they investigate, they can take the person to the hospital.
The public has been advised to call the number 1510 in case of any health emergency in order to benefit from the assistance of the Public Health Emergency Operations Center.
And as the COVID-19 pandemic attains apocalyptic proportions, so too is the fight against it becoming all-englobing. That's how public administrations in Yaoundé have joined the fight, adopting measures to prevent its propagation. Cynthia Saptala reports on the social distancing and hygiene measures as they play out in some public administrations in the nation's capital.
This is public administration, and here work must continue despite global escalating numbers of the COVID-19. So how does one practice social distancing in government departments where people continuously troop in with concerns? At the Ministry of Public Works is this press release that welcomes visitors. Then the gesture of the moment. Officials here say personnel have been drilled on sanitary measures to adopt a face mask for all, no closed doors, and alcohol-based sanitizers used at all moments.
Here at the level of the ministry, we try to avoid personal contacts. Most of our work is done online. We all have hand sanitizers, and personally, I wash my hand as often as possible.
Same measures at the Ministry of Mines, Water and Energy. Here, conferences and meetings have been suspended. Work must continue, but with minimum contact. At the Public Contracts Ministry, it is this message pasted at the waiting room that greets all visitors. With Monday's coordination meeting cancelled, it's just the essential staff present to handle urgent preoccupations.
We have scaled down crowd activities that are susceptible to involve more than 10 members of management staff or even general staff.
At the Finance Department, wash bowls have been placed at the entrance. Visitors must clean hands, and if they miss, there are other measures installed within the ministry.
In hallways of the ministry, you have hand sanitizers. We have other thermometer.
Practicing social distancing is a challenge that must be managed however possible in order to minimize the risk.
The government of Cameroon, through the Ministry of External Relations, is systematically carrying out the repatriation of Cameroonians blocked in some countries on the African continent and elsewhere in Europe. Those concerned by the exercise are Cameroonians who were on official mission abroad or on transit at the time measures to close down borders were taken in order to forestall the propagation of the COVID-19 virus. The Gilbert Ongene now reports on the special repatriation exercise as announced by the ministry.
Thus far, 152 Cameroonians who were stranded in Ethiopia have been repatriated to the country. 14 others who were in Gabon have also touched down in Cameroon. Officials of the Ministry of External Relations are methodically studying each case presented to them in order not to violate quarantine measures in effect across the globe for sufferers of COVID-19. The repatriation concerns only those who were on official mission out of the country or were on transit before the outbreak of the coronavirus. The Ministry of External Relations has this far registered some 500 Cameroonians across the world who have aired the wish to come back to Cameroon. They include 18 in Turkey, 70 in Dubai, 100 in Nairobi, Kenya, among several others. Just like was the case in the past with those in Libya and Dubai, the government of Cameroon is coherent in her policy of coming to the rescue of sons and daughters of the fatherland who for one reason or another find themselves stranded in a foreign land.
Despite its ravaging effect on humanity and the dangerously rising number of cases in Cameroon, there are still some Cameroonians who still afford the luxury of believing that the outcry against the COVID-19 is a fairy tale, while those scared by the pandemic are calling for the powers that be to enact and implement tougher measures, including even an effective lockdown of the country. Skeptics are still dilly-dallying over the issue. Constantine Baum sampled opinions in Yaoundé as to whether or not tougher measures should be adopted in this fight, and this is what he came away with.
From the very first hours of the emergence of the coronavirus, the government implemented a prevention and response plan aimed at stemming the spread of the epidemic. The 13 measures went into operation on Wednesday, March 18, with a call on the public to strictly observe them. Many are appreciating the response plan, but are of the opinion that the government should further reinforce the confinement measures.
I want first to salute those measures. They are a good step in the right direction, but I think that they should be reinforced first. Secondly, the government, the whole population should be involved.
While some think the confinement measures should be hard, others express contrary views.
There are some Cameroonians that if they don't go out, they will not be able to eat.
The worries of many Yaoundé city dwellers are with the number of new cases recorded daily. According to them, if the public had respected instructions, Cameroon would have had fewer cases. With these new cases, there is need to reinforce the confinement measures.
For those who are still selling in bars, they should only lock them, and they should give them some amount to make them respect the condition that the government has taken.
I can ask the government, if I have the privilege to reinforce the lockdown, is that everybody should stay home. If the government says people should stay, people should stay. We have forces of laws and other.
Government's sensitization plan has gone into higher gear following the growing threat of COVID-19. The president has urged Cameroonians to remain civil, responsible and courageous as the country multiply efforts to halt the spread of coronavirus.
In the wake of the COVID-19 scare on the globe, the role of the social media in sensitizing the public to the virus and how to stay safe cannot be overemphasized. Cameroon's Minister for Public Health, Manauda Malache, for example, now has thousands of Cameroonians following him on Twitter to have minute-by-minute updates on the situation in the country. Several persons are also disseminating information on the coronavirus via various social media platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Yoti Kalilisonge looks at the social media as a COVID-19 sensitization tool.
Posts and tweets on social media nowadays are all about raising awareness on the COVID-19 pandemic. The virtual world is visually educating people on how to stay safe. No time to gossip, as almost every navigation leads to a sensitization on the coronavirus.
It's critical to use all means possible to convince each and everyone to stop the spread of the virus. So please, when it's not necessary, let's just stay home. Let's pay attention to the personal hygiene measures that are recommended. We can actually manage this if we comply with the measures that were suggested.
If words are not enough, Pictures, likewise videos, are used to illustrate the severity of what the world is dealing with, putting in clear terms the choices people have to make, as well as safety measures that must be taken. ICT experts, however, insist that not all published content is valid.
If social networks can share good and useful information, it can also be used to share fake news. So it is very important to analyze all the information you get from the social network to be sure that what is being said in these social networks is true or false.
With the internet and communication technologies, news on the coronavirus is going viral to reduce the number of infections and hopefully stop the spread of the disease.
Cameroon's Trade Minister Luc Baglo-Ambarga Tangana has cautioned business persons not to capitalize on the prevailing public health crisis triggered by the coronavirus and engage in illicit trade practices. He was speaking in Yaoundé today after proceeding with the closure of warehouses whose owners were found guilty of hoarding rice and creating artificial scarcity. Clarissa Ray Takang reports.
These wholesalers at the Quartier Fuda neighborhood of Yaoundé are the latest to be called to order by trade officials. Their crime, selling some basic commodities above the homologated price. In this case, rice. Same story in this warehouse at Briqueterie, where the available quantities were found to be sold at higher than regulated prices. In this other warehouse at Mokolo, suspicions of hoarding were raised. The owners, who are said to be the country's biggest rice importers, claimed their supplies were bought almost immediately they came in. Not likely, trade officials countered. The absence of corresponding paperwork cemented their argument. These and other unscrupulous practices from economic operators must be curtailed, they maintained.
I will be permanent on the field because we know we have already problem with coronavirus. We don't need to add food problem. We have stock enough, the minimum of 3 or 4 months for all main products, in particular rice, fish, flour, and sugar, for instance. There is no need to fear the price increase.
Cameroon's annual rice needs stands at some 600,000 tons. Half of that is available in existing supplies. Trade officials insist that there is therefore no room for a food crisis while consumers make do with measures implemented to stem the spread of the coronavirus.
Given that the coronavirus is new, a lot of questions remain unanswered about the disease. Coronavirus fears center around the way it is spread, who is more vulnerable to the disease, and how long it takes for one's system to fight the disease, or better still, if those who have recovered from the virus can infect people around them. Questions which our reporter Beatrice Losamba discusses with some specialists in the following story.
That coronavirus is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths in just 3 months scares. Coronavirus fears breed questions about the disease, questions about how to know that one is infected to start with.
If anyone suspects to be infected, it is recommended that you should call the toll-free number 1510, and you shouldn't stay confined at home.
The symptoms appear anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks after exposure. Experts say, though some patients haven't shown symptoms at all.
About 80% of patients will have minor cases, and most of them will not even have symptoms.
To some, it is a miracle that kids are less likely to get sick from the disease.
In fact, we don't have the answer yet. Children do not have very severe, why even though they're infected, they do not have any severe cases, contrary to adults.
Questions have been asked as to whether recovered people can still not infect or if they are immune from the disease.
Those who are cured, unless they get infected again, will not contaminate.
Coronavirus mortality rates are very high, and medics say the best approach is preventive. Preventing through a good hand-washing regimen, avoiding places where there may be unwell people, trying not to touch the eyes, nose and mouth, and sneezing into a flexed arm. There are many unanswered questions. How long will social distancing last? Should I go to work? Why is it taking long to find a cure? When will the disease end?
And the questions are many. And the population of the North region have been implored to be more health conscious and actively contribute in efforts to bar the way to COVID-19. The Secretary of State in the Ministry of Public Health, Alim Garga Ayatu, made the appeal in Garwa today as he engaged on working visit in the region. As Luisa Akwanka Achato reports, the Secretary of State was rather appreciative of measures being taken by the regional health structures to face up to any COVID-19 eventuality.
A tour of some major points of convergence within the regional capital Garwa, including the Garwa International Airport, the city's fluvial port, the Garwa Regional Hospital, and travel agencies, enabled the Secretary of State at the Ministry of Public Health, in charge of epidemics and pandemics, Alim Hayatu, to gauge firsthand the level of preparedness of the North to tackle any eventual onslaught of the coronavirus.
I am satisfied with the measures being implemented in the region to fight the new coronavirus, measures and prescriptions given by the government. I have appealed to the governor and his collaborators to follow through without relent.
The population, through sensitization sessions, were reminded of how real, contagious and deadly the respiratory disease caused by the new coronavirus is, which for now has no known cure. They were, however, reassured of the readiness of specialized structures to cater for the ailing.
One of our main plans of action includes bringing the equipment within health facilities up to standards. However, for now, the regional hospital, for instance, is capable of providing necessary care for a limited number of cases.
The region's authorities and other stakeholders were implored to incite the people to be more health conscious and participate actively through regular hand washing and other strategies in barring the way to COVID-19.
And as I was announcing earlier on, so far in Cameroon, 56 people have tested positive for the coronavirus, and the patients are under medical surveillance and being administered non-specific treatment at different health structures equipped for that purpose. It's been 18 days since the first cases were confirmed. For an update on the situation in the country, Clarice Array Takang is at the Cameroon Health Emergency Operations Center, and we now try to hook up with her. Hello, Clarice, if you are listening to us, what is the update out there?
Well, good evening and welcome to the Cameroon Health Emergency Operations Center, which is kind of like the control room from where the coronavirus situation in Cameroon is monitored. And here has been set up a task force made up of public health experts and specialists who have one focus: getting as much information as they can on the evolution of the COVID-19 disease, not only in Yaoundé in the Central Region, but across the country. And with me is Dr. Ashta Hamadou. She's a public health specialist. She's part of the planning section of this control center. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening, madam.
Can we just find out from you what is the situation of the coronavirus in Cameroon as we speak, as of date?
Okay, currently we have 56 cases, positive cases in Cameroon, but those data can change because we have laboratory tests in progress at the Central Pasteur of Cameroon.
The different tests that are being conducted, tell us who is being tested and how is the testing going on?
All the suspect cases are tested because somebody who have symptoms of cough or headache, fever, all those persons who is responding to the definition cases of coronavirus are tested by our team from here at the center of Operations Center. So we are sending people in the field to make those tests.
Now here in this Operations Center, where's the information coming from? And who are those in charge of treating that information? Because we're talking about a public health crisis.
Here we have a huge organization here at the Operations Center, but we have the incident manager who's the coordinator, and we have different sections. Here we are the planning section, and we have different sections, logistics section, and the operation section. So we are receiving the information from all the country, all the regions. People are in the field, people from the hospital, so we are receiving all those information. And here in the situation awareness room, we are collecting all those information. We have people who are treating, who are making the analysis, and we have a different way.
And I'm talking about the information. Talking about the coronavirus situation, we know what's been on social media. People are scared. They've been talking about deaths. They've been talking about different kinds of situations. Now, can you confirm or affirm the state of the different cases, the COVID-19 disease patients in our hospitals? What is the state? What can you tell us?
What can I tell us is that people who are tested already that they have coronavirus, they are treated very well in our structure in the hospital. We have the good specialists who are taking care of them.
No deaths registered so far?
No death, fortunately, here in Cameroon, and we are taking care of those people very well. The government take all the resources, they give everything to be very comfortable to make those response in the good way.
Thank you, Doctor. That was Dr. Ashta Amadou, public health specialist here at the Cameroon Health Emergency Operations Center. She was giving us an update on the coronavirus situation in Cameroon till date. As we all heard, it's 56 cases so far. So what we will say, back to you in the studio.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Clarissa Reitakang, for those updates, and we hope to be getting more as the days go by. Hopefully that a cure is found quickly for that ravaging pandemic. We continue in this newscast to say while people stay at home, they are still expected to respect hygiene rules, which will help distance them from the coronavirus. Homes might provide confinement, but a good hand-washing regimen and hygiene etiquette will be a stitch in time that saves 9. In the Adamawa region, for instance, Sadu Yaoba visited homes to see how measures were being applied out there and also observes how children were at home were being schooled on hygiene methods. Here is his report.
In order to prevent COVID-19, Duibe Clarice has no option than to look after her children with measures minimizing the risk of infection.
All this while, they have not been going out. In the morning, we make sure that they should drink some lemon juice in hot water.
Water is available for the children to wash their hands with soaps as basic hygienic rule. In spite of schools' closures over coronavirus, here, just like her wife, Duibe Ferdinand provides these children with technical skills in the learning process.
In connection with school, ICT remains is already a course in our schools. It's already a subject. So we go on, we continue teaching them what they did in class, adding more on that, and then we continue. We look at their timetable, we try to make sure that they follow the timetable. We don't know when they will return back to school.
Various families visited in Ngaoundere have adopted similar behaviors to prevent any eventual case as coronavirus increasingly becomes a global concern.
And the media has played a key role in propagating useful messages about the disease. CRTV Southwest recently schooled the population on preventive measures and messages during a radio program which kept the population respecting confinement measures during entertainment. Tanjon Lewis Agbo reports from Boya.
The coronavirus pandemic is spreading so fast around the world. In Cameroon, more than 20 cases have been identified. Though no cases in the southwest region, health experts believe it is still a cause for concern. Reason why? They are sensitizing the population on the signs and symptoms and even measures to protect themselves from the deadly virus.
The 13 measures that were handed down to us, we are also applying in the southwest region. So
For now, we are okay with that, and they are very salutary measures.
During the 2-hour program on the CRTV Southwest Regional Station with the presenter Kange Williams Wasaloko, the health experts expatiated on the signs and symptoms of the COVID-19, preventive measures, and why people should be quarantined if tested positive of the virus.
Anytime you see water, just wash your hands. Stay at home as much as possible. Avoid crowded people, avoid greeting people, handshakes and other things. The regional hospital, Boya, has made such flyers out on the social media. We received reports of chloroquine intoxication in Lagos in Nigeria. So we are advising the population that before you take chloroquine, you must contact your doctor.
The population have been urged to observe strict rules of hygiene and sanitation.
The spread of the coronavirus is having an adverse effect on sports in the world, with different sports competitions and training sessions suspended. That is how most athletes have engaged in individual training sessions so as to remain fit for competition. Baldwin Samana reports on how high-level athletes are coping with the coronavirus challenge.
Difficult moments they are for sportsmen and women. Difficult it is for most of them to train or play during this period due to the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Manuela Bibende, who plays for the women's volleyball team of Cameroon and Bafia Volleyball, with training sessions suspended, she receives private volleyball lessons from her coach, Yerin Yaoundé.
I train 2 to 3 times daily. I have an appointment with my coach, after which I'll train individually.
Same for Rodrigue Ncha, who plays for Fab Volley. With training sessions suspended, he prefers to train individually.
I have a training program given to me by my coach. I vary them. If I jog today, the next day I can do personal musculation just in my parlor, not outside.
Diodene Dolasem would have loved to train with his other teammates for upcoming competitions in judo, but he is now subjected to judo lessons from their respective coaches.
We carry out simple exercises daily, such as jumping and flexing.
He can't prepare well for the upcoming Olympic Games as far as athletics is concerned with others, but indoors training is what Emmanuel Alubwede Eseme relies on as far as the men's 100-meter series is concerned.
Our training is more of what our coaches call maintenance. We do that by doing push-ups, abs, keep fit. That's really almost everything we do now.
While waiting for things to change, these athletes continue with indoor preparations.
The global picture of COVID-19 is growing grimmer each passing day as the figures keep soaring by the second. Statistics indicate that close to 400,000 persons are affected by the virus, with over 15,000 deaths recorded, Italy being the worst hit with more than 5,000 deaths already. Cameroon has just recorded its 56th case as the figures continue to rise on the African continent. Emmanuela Vernier is here with the latest facts and figures on COVID-19.
Global figures of COVID-19 continue to send a red alert to the world to adjust in the face of what is now known as #1 killer disease. Over 360,824 confirmed cases in 193 countries around the globe. The death toll has risen to 15,495, while 100,657 have recovered as of Monday 6 p.m. Cameroon time. Italy has retained first place as the country with the highest number of deaths, more than 5,000. China is second with over 3,000. Spain and Iran are third and fourth, recording over 1,000 deaths each. In Africa, Algeria is the hardest hit, 17 deaths as at today, with 201 infections. On its heels, Egypt, 14 deaths with 327 infections. Morocco has seen 4 of its citizens perish, same like Burkina Faso, as Tunisia continued to mourn 3 of its citizens snatched by the coronavirus. Meantime, South Africa tops the chart with the highest number of infected cases in Africa, 402. Fortunately, no death has been recorded so far. Cameroon is telling her own coronavirus story on the 8th position in the continent with 56 confirmed cases, 0 deaths, and 2 already treated. The statistics from Worldometer and the World Health Organization change every minute with updates on confirmed cases, deaths, as well as treated cases around the globe, available for all at just a click.
Terribly grim statistics there, Emanuela. You're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television. We are broadcasting live from Yaoundé. Elections Cameroon and the Ministry of Territorial Administration, principal stakeholders in the electoral process in the country, say the March 22 legislative election rerun in the northwest and southwest regions was calm and fair despite the apprehensive security situation. Attention now focuses on the Constitutional Council for the probable post-election litigations before the proclamation of results. Kilian Datndifon has this appraisal of the polls one day after.
The assessment of the situation by major stakeholders of the partial legislative election rerun has not changed a day after the polls.
Polls were calm, free and fair. No major incident likely to affect the smooth conduct of this by-election or its credibility has been reported by the local administrative authorities and the law enforcement officers.
Polling operation took place normally in the different polling stations. Electors voted in an orderly manner.
Focus now is on what happens next. Section 62 sub 2 of the Electoral Code states that the head of the Council Branch of Elections Cameroon shall within 48 hours of the close of polling operations forward a copy of reports of local polling commissions and appended documents to the Divisional Supervisory Commission. The Divisional Supervisory Commission shall within 72 hours forward the report of its proceedings to the National Commission for the final counting of votes. A copy with appended documents shall be forwarded within 5 days to the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council shall ensure the regularity of the election of members of Parliament. It shall proclaim the results within a maximum period of 20 days with effect from the date of closure of the polls.
Farmer associations in the Mifi division of the West region for the 6th year running have received farm inputs free of charge from one of their leader of the area, Pascal Nyekante, who is the Deputy Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office. The farmers say the improved maize, beans and Irish potato seedlings plus fertilizers came on time as they were preparing their farms for the planting season. Chancellor Nanze is in Bafoussam.
Unlike in previous years, where beneficiaries converged on the Bafoussam ceremonial ground, the distribution exercise this time took the team dispatched by the Deputy Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office, Professor Pascal Nyekante, to leaders of common initiative groups and quarter heads in the Mifi division. This to avoid bringing together more than 50 people in compliance with the preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19 prescribed by the head of state. The farmer associations for the 6th year in succession left with improved maize, bean and Irish potato seeds and organic manure. The beneficiaries say the gesture is timely as most of them had already cultivated their farms and needed seeds for planting. Professor Pascal Nyekante, through his emissary, promised to offer the farmers tools in the days ahead.
The 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, that's the way it was. Thanks for watching. Good night.